How many unsolved homicides is IMPD handling? 13 Investigates reporter Sierra Putman thought it was a simple enough question, but Sierra, it actually took a month before you even got an answer.
5 weeks to be exact, and IMPD still cannot tell us exactly how many people's deaths remain unsolved. They only came up with an estimate after we kept pushing. Remember, each case represents a family waiting for answers.
2 deadly shootings.
It seems like almost every night,
1 man is dead.
we report another killing,
Another shooting.
another life lost, unexpected deaths that rock hundreds of families each year.
But I want this violence to stop. I want the pain to stop.
Sharon Grubbs has lived with that pain for nearly 18 years. Her son, William Stryker Searcy, was a championship football player and Ben Davis High School graduate. August 20th, 2005, someone shot him 5 times.
The fear is that I'm never going to know what happened.
For answers, she now depends on IMPD's 5-person unsolved homicide unit.
The office is full of boxes. Absolutely full.
Grubbs reached out to 13 Investigates after seeing our recent series on gun violence.
That's 3 shootings in your family, all unsolved.
Correct.
She wants the public to know both the homicide and unsolved homicide units are overloaded with cases. How many unsolved homicides? We asked IMPD. At first, it didn't even know, writing, "We don't track this number, and some of the historical data is not available."
I can't imagine that they don't realize how many people are waiting for answers.
A month later, IMPD revised its answer and told 13 Investigates it has roughly 1,000 unsolved homicides dating back to 1920. Captain Roger Spurgeon is IMPD's homicide branch commander.
Why did it take so long for you all to be able to say how many unsolved homicide cases IMPD has?
Because there's no centralized record for, hey, this is how many unsolved homicides we have versus all homicides.
That lack of record keeping is common, according to a nationally recognized cold case expert.
I'm not at all surprised by it because that is what we find throughout the entire United States.
Thomas McAndrew helped create this 2019 report from the National Institute of Justice about best practices for building and running a cold case unit. Back then, he called the lack of cold case data a crisis.
Do you still think that's the case?
Absolutely. It's really only getting worse.
An issue exacerbated by historical trends showing the number of homicides is going up, but police nationwide and here in Indy are solving a smaller percentage of those cases.
I just think that people are getting away with it and think they can do it again.
IMPD is now making changes to the unsolved homicide unit. For several months, a detective has been reorganizing old records and creating a new filing system.
Another change IMPD is making is moving away from storing files in cardboard boxes like this, and instead moving those files into plastic containers like this. The point is to better preserve those files.
While that still sounds very old school, it's a lot better than the boxes that we had.
Are those files also being digitized?
So they're being scanned and digitized as they come in.
Right now, a homicide is considered unsolved when all workable leads dry up. Generally, the case is assigned to and stays with a detective until they retire or are no longer in a policing role. Then it moves to the unsolved homicide unit. The department is looking at changing that, considering moving a case to the unit after a specific number of years.
You know, I think it's unfortunate that we have more unsolved cases than we can reasonably put resources to proactively go after.
But detectives are tackling some of these cases, including Stryker's killing.
They're fairly certain they know who did it. We just need someone to come forth so we can actually close this case.
So they can close the case and possibly close the jail door on her son's killer. We have more of the changes IMPD says it's making on the 13 Investigate section of our website. And Mickey Andrew tells me they're steps in the right direction, Felicia.
So IMPD says it has about 1,000 unsolved homicides. That's a pretty big number.
It seems like that at first, but that's over more than 100 years. And that seems kind of low when you consider there are about 130 homicides that remain unsolved just from last year alone.
You just think about all those families that want answers.
And we keep hearing from them.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing us this, Sierra.